going on, faithful? Thanks for joining us on the weekly Niners news update. Today, we're just going to go into, kind of what we've done so far in the free agency period from start to finish. There hasn't been a great deal of signings that we've made. We haven't made a huge splash, not like the Jaguars or anything like that. But we have gotten a couple of key pieces that we wanted to mention here. So we're just going to get into that briefly. First, most notable thing, obviously, as we continue to monitor, as of right now, Jimmy Garoppolo still a part of the team. He has not been, released or traded as of now. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, the amount of potential places for him to end up now are decreasing now that Pittsburgh has come off the option.
There are definitely still places he could go. I mean,
right.
Probably Indianapolis and
potentially Carolina.
Carolina.
If they end up wanting to replace Sam Darnold there.
I'm kind of thinking that I think he's probably going to stay at this point with the Niners. But given the surgery he had, it seemed like that made teams a little bit more uneasy about trying to hesitant about trying to sign him. And I think that I think staying with the Niners would be the best thing at this point. Like
I think it would be it would be good for all parties as long as we can get him to restructure that, because obviously if he's not projected to be the starter and we're rolling out with Trey, which I'm pretty sure we are, and I think that's if Trey's ready, that's probably the right move. But I mean, Jimmy knows the offense. He's been here 4.5 seasons. If we can get him to restructure that cap number, I could see him being a valuable backup. I mean, I certainly like going into next season having Jimmy as our backup better than Nate Sudfeld. I mean, nothing against Nate Sudfeld, but that's certainly an unproven. I mean, at least Jimmy's started 2 NFC championship games and played in a Super Bowl. So, I mean, he's got big game experience, although as limited as he is. But, to kind of get into the additions, obviously last week we touched on, like Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles getting re-signed to a 1-year deal. We re-signed Nate Sudfeld, as we previously mentioned. We re-signed JaMychal Hasty on a 1-year extension. But as far as the new players we also tendered Azeez Al-Shire and Danny Brunskill on the offensive line. So good to get both of those guys back because Azeez Al-Shire played his ass off last year when Dre Greenlaw was hurt. So
yeah, he really did. He definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, he really helped his value. I mean, our linebacker core might be the strongest position group on the team between Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and Azeez Al-Shire. And then we've got Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles. So we're set at linebacker. And we actually got one. We got another one. Oren Burks from the Packers on a 2-year contract, coming over to probably mainly play special teams. Not a signing that we really needed because, as I mentioned, linebacker was a position we were super deep at anyway.
Yeah, that is an odd thing to go and pick up, but...
Yeah, I mean, but his role on special teams, I think that's more what it was.
Oh, that's right.
Like
you did say that. I'm sorry. You did say the special teams thing. I'm sorry.
And our special teams team
that makes sense. Was terrible. Was terrible.
Yeah,
so yes, okay, that actually does make sense. That makes sense. I'm seeing linebacker. I'm like, what? Well,
yeah. Other than when we blocked that punt and beat the Packers on special teams in the
that was the most ridiculous shit
round.
I have seen in a long time.
I mean, that was the only time our special teams worked out in our favor, and that's only because the Packers
should have won that game.
Even worse than ours. Yeah, I know.
Oh, that was so funny.
I mean, I'm not mad. I'm not mad they didn't though. I'll take it all day.
Of course not. Just saying. Other than that, they would have won that game.
Yeah. And then another special teams move we made. I'm really excited about this one. We got Ray McCloud from the Steelers, who led the NFL in punt return yards last year. Also,
I like his name, Ray McCloud. He sounds like a fighter pilot or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It sounds like he's going to be maybe soaring to the skies and maybe running a few.
Hopefully, running for some 95-yard touchdown returns. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, and he also has a role as a receiver. He caught a career high. For passes in Pittsburgh last year. I want to say it was 37 passes, if I remember correctly. So, obviously, the amount of yards he got off that weren't great. He only averaged 7.1 yards a carry. But like we had mentioned before, he was used for a lot of screens. And the thing about those wide receiver screens is they can either work out real good or they can get blown up for a while.
or you lose a whole bunch of yards.
So you're unless you're Deebo Samuel, your yards per carry or yards per catch is going to be phenomenal if you're getting those Cordero Patterson type passes thrown your way, which, I don't know why offenses are so set on running those. Most of the time they don't work. But
I know, right?
excited to have him because between him and Oren Burks, our special teams unit does seem to get better. Don't know what this means for Richie James Jr., who missed the entire last season, but he is our usual return guy, so we'll have to see what ends up happening there. And last one to mention here, the one that I am most excited about. Corner was definitely the Niners' biggest need going into the offseason. We needed a good corner to pair with Emmanuel Mosley, and we got one in Charvarius Ward. We signed him to a pretty extensive 3-year, $40.5 million deal.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but I'll tell you why I'm okay with that. Based off this, I looked at some numbers here, and this guy, as far as how he was rated, was off the chains in several key NFL.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this. It's like he's like ridiculously good.
Yeah. So his numbers here, rankings go. Where he finished in the league last year was completion percentage allowed, 40%. He was first. Expected completion percentage against him, 46.6%, which was first. Yards per target, given up 4.6 yards, third in the NFL. Passer rating, 52.5, which was third. And then tight window rate, which was the rate of coverage that he was within 1 yard of separation of the defender. So that was 46.7% of the time, which was good for first in the NFL. So he was tearing it up for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he is a guy that's gotten better. In the 4 seasons he's been with Kansas City, he's gotten better each year. So very excited to have him, especially, pairing with Emmanuel Mosley. And if we're able to keep K'Wan Williams as our nickelback, our cornerback room looks a whole lot better. We're probably not going to be retaining Jason Verrett, who, missed all but one game last year. But, I mean, he's always had a bunch of injury issues anyway. So certainly excited to see what he can do. And, obviously that was a position we had to address. And we did, because we don't have a first-round pick. So
I would say that's definitely the best pickup that you guys have had so far, based on after you telling me his stat, because I didn't know. But
I would grade that as an A for sure.
Yes, that is an A for sure. That is absolutely an A. I mean, it costs money to get a good player, but yes, that is a very good pickup. Definitely my favorite one.
Yeah, you address a position of need, and then it's your biggest position of need, and then
and you spend the money. You spend the money to get that position taken care of.
Exactly.
That's what you have to do, really.
Yeah, and of course it's not all without loss, of course, as the Niners did lose some notable players, especially to Mike McDaniel's Miami Dolphins. Former
he's just snatching them up, and then they got Robert Salah also snatching them up too.
Couple former Niners assistants, robbing us blind here. We had Raheem Mostert, which is I think the most notable one, leaving on a
Raheem the Dream. Don't go.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know how we couldn't have matched this. I mean, maybe we just didn't want to, but he signed a 1-year, $3.12 million deal with the Dolphins.
How is it that low? And I don't get it.
He's obviously got a lot to prove coming back. He's been injured a lot lately. It's
true.
Deal,
but like the Niners didn't want to match that. Like I'm surprised. I'm very surprised.
It tells me that Kyle's confident moving forward with
Elijah Mitchell
and also JaMychal Hasty, who was re-signed. Jeff Wilson's also a free agent. I don't know if we're going to bring him back yet. We haven't so far.
Well, the first 3 you said have all actually looked good in the times that they've gotten play time. They've shown all bright spots at various times. So
JaMychal's our little receiving back. He's like our little, to a lesser degree, our J.D. McKissick. He's our receiving back. And then we also lost backup special teams receiver Trent Sherfield to the Dolphins as well. He was with us for 1 season after coming over from the Arizona Cardinals. I really liked him. I mean, he didn't, make a ton of plays for us, but he was a good presence on special teams. As we've mentioned before, we lost River Craycraft also to the Miami Dolphins. So that's 3, plus receivers coach Wes Welker and former coach Richard
Man, he
Hightower
just
is our
came in
special
and
teams
said,
coach.
"Fuck San Francisco,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on to Jacksonville." Or I'm
Or
sorry, not
Miami. Yeah,
Jacksonville, the Miami. That's
might
that's
as
what
well.
I
Yeah, come play in the
meant.
sunny weather of Miami. And then speaking of former Niners assistants, we lost Laken Tomlinson on a 3-year, $45 million deal, which is expected to be about $14 million annually. I mean, Laken played his ass off. He made the Pro Bowl last season, had a great season. Kind of probably priced himself out of our market, so that was unfortunate. But I've heard reports that the expectation for second round pick last year, Aaron Banks, to step up are really high. I think Aaron Banks might be ready, so hopefully he's waiting in the wings for that opportunity. And then just a couple more to mention briefly, not going to get too far into these. We lost a couple players to Denver, unfortunately. DJ Jones, the most notable. I was really hoping, all season I was saying that we need to re-sign DJ Jones. He stepped in and played a huge role with Kinlaw being out for pretty much all but like 3 games. And, unfortunately, we lost him to Denver. DJ's spent his entire career with the Niners prior to that, but he signs a 3-year, $30 million deal with Denver. So good for him. Go get your money, DJ.
You hate to
10
see a
million a
player
season.
that's been with the
Yeah,
team though their whole career
yeah,
leave. That always sucks. Like that's
yeah,
never nice to see.
absolutely. And then we also
Unless
lost
they've just
back.
been terrible, then I guess you can maybe
Yeah,
it's
like
different. But
I
it's
was
just
I wasn't disappointed to see Jalen Hurd leave, but that's because he never did a
right.
damn thing
I
for
mean, he
us
didn't do
other than
shit.
like
Yeah, it's one of
yeah
those things.
yeah
Yeah,
other
it's
than
like
show up
Antonio
in one
Gandy Golden
preseason game.
on Washington.
Yeah,
It's like he
yeah,
didn't do shit, so he got
yeah,
released.
yeah. I think he's back though, but we'll see if he's on the 90 man for the offseason. He might be back. And then we
Oh
also
yeah, I think
lost backup.
yeah, we'll see.
He did come back. He did come back at one point.
Yeah, he did. You're right. He did. Yeah.
And then we also lost Tom Compton, offensive lineman Tom Compton, occasional backup and some part-time starter, who in 1 or 2 games handled Aaron Donald quite well. So he's going to Denver as well. And then also Kentavious Street, who was just starting to come on for he had a 3-sack season. He dealt with injury problems as first part of his career, and had 3 sacks for us last year. Finally looked like he was going to be a decent depth signing, and then we lose him to New Orleans, where ironically he was the one that injured Drew Brees and broke Drew Brees' rib to begin with, which kind of started the downfall of the New Orleans Saints. So Kentavious Street now coming full circle, coming back to the Saints, and really that's all we had. Other than I just wanted to mention in closing that obviously everybody pretty I think most of the Niner fans are pretty disappointed that Jimmy's still on the roster because of that $28 million, and that deal hasn't been restructured as of yet. But I will say this: we did manage to free up about just under $19 million in restructuring the deals of George Kittle and Eric Armstead. So we were able to free up a little bit of cap space, even though and so in that situation, they don't necessarily have to release Jimmy. They could. It's still on the table for him to be traded or released. But, at this point, we've got a little bit of cap space to work with now, so it'll remain to be seen on if he does end up staying as the backup or not, or even if they try to roll him out for another season as the starter. Personally, I don't see it, but
That does seem unlikely, but yeah, and you never know. It's the NFL; anything can happen.
Yeah, but thank you to Eric Armstead and George Kittle for restructuring those deals a little bit, being team players, and
Absolutely.
hopefully we can get another player or 2 in free agency. We will be back next week to cover all of the Niners news for the week. Hopefully we have some stuff to report on. Either way, we'll give you guys something. But if you enjoyed this, check out the other clips we have on YouTube, and go Niners.
Go Niners.
And that's actually going to do it for the Extra Point Show this week. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. Hope you guys liked the show. If you did, make sure that you're subscribing to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. So, subscribe for more content. And if you are a Niners fan, also check in for the weekly Niners news update.
And any Commanders fans, remember to check out the Commanders Countdown. We also have other short clips sometimes, about either team if there's various news. But, definitely check that out. And thanks for watching.
Absolutely. Have a good night.